Lovely viewers, gather close because what I'm about to share with you is going to shake your hearts, your minds, and maybe even your beliefs about love and the glittering world of celebrity romance. Today's story is not just about glitz and glamour. It's about truth, vulnerability, and a revelation so personal that it will make you feel like you've been invited into the most hidden corners of someone's heart. Yes, we are talking about none other than Lee Min-ho, the man whose charm seems to pierce through even the thickest walls of guarded hearts, and Hye Kyo, the woman whose elegance hides a world of untold stories. But this time, it's not a rumor, not a staged moment for the cameras. This is about a secret so deep it connects to her very soul. And it's a secret about her divorce that Lee Min-ho himself has now brought to light. Now, I know many of you have followed their journey from the moment whispers of their connection began. Some of you have cheered for them like your own favorite K-drama couple come to life, and others have watched carefully, wondering if the sparks we saw on the screen and in their rare public sightings were hiding something more personal. Well, what if I told you that Lee Min-ho, in a moment of honesty and raw emotion, revealed something about Hye Kyo that even her closest fans might not have fully known? Imagine being in a room where he leans forward, lowers his voice, and tells the truth about what happened behind those polished smiles and well-managed press statements. That's the moment we're stepping into today. The atmosphere when Lee Min-ho shared this wasn't loud or dramatic. It wasn't a red carpet event, nor was it a casual Instagram live. It was during a small, intimate gathering, the kind where the chatter fades when someone starts speaking from the heart. People there say they could see a flicker in his eyes. Not of betrayal, not of gossip, but of deep empathy. He didn't speak with judgment. He didn't speak as someone trying to stir scandal. Instead, he spoke as a man who had seen the pain, the silent tears, and the truth that no tabloid headline could capture. And what he revealed was not some salacious accusation or a twist for drama. It was something deeply human. He shared that the biggest pain in Hye Kyo's divorce wasn't just the end of love. It was the feeling that she had failed herself. Yes, lovely viewers, think about that for a second. We often see celebrities as untouchable, their breakups reduced to clickbait and speculation. But Lee Min-ho explained that Hye Kyo carried a heavy, quiet guilt, not because she did something wrong, but because she had once believed she could protect that relationship against all odds. In her mind, ending it meant she had somehow not fought hard enough, even though those closest to her insisted she had given everything she could. This wasn't the kind of guilt born from scandal. It was the quiet ache of someone who looks in the mirror and wonders if they could have been more. And Lee Min-ho didn't stop there. He shared something even more personal, something she had once confided in him during a late-night conversation when the world was asleep. She told him that after her divorce, she couldn't walk into certain places without feeling the ghost of her past. A restaurant where they once celebrated an anniversary would suddenly make her chest tighten. A certain song playing in the background of a cafe would send her spiraling into memories she wasn't ready to face. These weren't just random triggers. They were reminders of how deeply she had loved and how deeply she had lost. And this, my lovely viewers, was the part of the story that truly silenced the room. It's one thing to know someone has moved on. It's another to realize they carry invisible scars that still bleed quietly. But perhaps the most touching part of Lee Min-ho's revelation was when he described how she still managed to smile through all of it. He said that even on days when he could sense the storm raging inside her, she would laugh, make sure everyone else was comfortable, and pretend she was okay. He admitted that this was one of the things that drew him to her most. That strength wrapped in grace, that ability to hold herself together when it would have been so easy to fall apart in front of the world. And yet, he confessed, he sometimes wished she would let herself crumble, at least in front of him, so she could be reminded that she didn't have to carry it alone. For the people in that room, the way Lee Min-ho spoke was unlike any tabloid interview or press conference. It was like he was lifting a curtain on a woman who, despite being adored by millions, still has moments of doubt and vulnerability just like anyone else. And here's where it got even more emotional. He revealed that one of her deepest secrets was that she didn't want anyone to know how much her divorce had actually broken her. She feared that admitting it would make her look weak or incapable, especially in an industry where appearances are everything. Instead, she built a wall around her heart, a wall so high that even those close to her struggled to see over it. But Lee Min-ho, he climbed that wall, slowly, patiently, and once inside, he promised not to let her face the shadows alone. Lovely viewers, you could almost hear the collective sigh in the room when he said that. Because in that moment, it wasn't about fame or paparazzi photos or fan theories. It was about two human beings finding connection in truth. It was about him saying without flashy words, "I see you. All of you. Even the parts you hide. And for Song Hye Kyo, that was everything. She had spent so much time guarding her story, afraid that if people knew the real depth of her heartbreak, they would see her differently. But Lee Min-ho saw her exactly as she was, and instead of pulling away, he stepped closer. And here's something that made my heart swell when I heard it. Lee Min-ho shared that this openness actually brought them closer in a way neither of them had expected. When she finally let him in, when she admitted the weight she'd been carrying, it didn't scare him off. It didn't make him see her as damaged. In fact, he told her, "It makes you even more beautiful because you're real." Imagine hearing that from someone you trust. Imagine finally exhaling after holding your breath for so long. Now, of course, you might be wondering, why would Lee Min-ho choose to reveal this now? Why share something so intimate about her past, especially when it's tied to such a painful chapter in her life? Well, according to those who know them, this wasn't a move for attention. This wasn't about making headlines. It was about finally letting people see the truth about Song Hye Kyo, that she is not just a poised actress on a red carpet, but a woman who has walked through fire and come out standing. Lee Min-ho wanted the world to understand that her divorce wasn't a story of failure. It was a story of courage. And maybe, just maybe, it was also his way of telling her, "You don't have to hide anymore. Not from me. Not from anyone." Lovely viewers, I have to ask, don't you think there's something incredibly powerful about love that makes someone want to protect your truth instead of twist it? Don't you think it's rare to find someone who will hold your secrets not to keep them hidden forever, but to help you release the burden when you're ready? That's what I believe we're seeing here. Not just a revelation, but a moment of healing. And I can't help but wonder if this is why their bond seems so unshakable lately. Perhaps this was the turning point, the moment when vulnerability stopped being a weakness and became the foundation of something stronger. So here's my question to you, my dear audience. If you were in Song Hye Kyo's shoes, would you have been able to open up like that? Would you trust someone with the deepest, most fragile parts of your story? Because one thing is certain. In the world of celebrity romance, where so much is staged for the cameras, this is one of those rare glimpses that feels utterly beautifully real. And maybe, just maybe, that's why it's so unforgettable. Let's sink even deeper into this story, because what came after Lee Min-ho's revelation is where the emotions truly began to weave themselves into something unforgettable. That moment, when he exposed Song Hye Kyo's deepest secret about her divorce, didn't just hang in the air like some scandalous confession. No, it began to ripple through their relationship, their public appearances, and even the way people around them spoke about them. It's almost as if, by opening that locked door, they stepped into a new chapter of trust and connection that would change everything. You see, after that night, the bond between them seemed different. People close to the couple say there was a softness in the way they looked at each other, a kind of unspoken language that only they understood. In the days following the revelation, Lee Min-ho reportedly became even more protective, not in the possessive, controlling way that so many celebrity rumors love to exaggerate, but in the gentle way of someone who has been entrusted with something sacred. When they attended events together, those subtle gestures told the real story. His hand brushing hers under the table, his gaze scanning the room to make sure she felt safe, his quiet lean toward her whenever the conversation turned personal. And here's something that truly speaks volumes, lovely viewers. Lee Min-ho didn't just stop at words. He began taking action to help her heal from those lingering shadows. Friends say he started arranging small escapes for the two of them. Quiet weekend getaways to places far away from flashing cameras, cozy dinners in hidden restaurants where they could talk without interruptions, long drives at night when the city lights blurred and the world felt smaller. In those spaces, Song Hye Kyo began to open up even more, sharing not just the painful memories of her divorce, but also the dreams she thought she had lost along the way. One of the most touching details from those conversations was how she admitted to him that after her divorce, she thought she might never be able to love fully again. She told him she had convinced herself that love, real, deep, soul-stirring love, was something that belonged to her past. And then she looked at him with a smile that was half shy, half overwhelmed, and said, "You've made me think I might have been wrong." Lee Min-ho reportedly just took her hand, squeezed it gently and said, "I'm not here to prove you wrong. I'm here to show you what's still possible." And oh, lovely viewers, can you feel the weight of those words? Because in that moment, he wasn't just offering her romance. He was offering her restoration. It's rare to see someone willing to stand in another person's emotional storm without trying to rush them toward the sunshine. Lee Min-ho didn't tell her to just move on or forget the past. Instead, he embraced her history, scars and all, as part of the woman he had fallen for. But the continuation of this story isn't just about the private side. It's also about how this revelation began to subtly change the public narrative. Before, the gossip surrounding Song Hye Kyo's divorce had been all about speculation, blame, and shallow headlines. After Lee Min-ho's words spread quietly through trusted circles, people began to see her differently. She wasn't just the glamorous actress who had gone through a high-profile split. She was a woman of depth, courage, and quiet strength. And whether she realized it or not, his willingness to speak her truth in such a respectful way was reshaping how the world perceived her. Of course, there were moments of tension too. As you can imagine, not everyone in the media was content with this softer, more human version of the story. Some outlets tried to twist Lee Min-ho's words, painting them as a scandalous exposé, instead of a compassionate confession. But here's where things get even more powerful. Song Hye Kyo didn't flinch this time. In the past, she might have retreated, avoided interviews, or issued a carefully worded denial. But now, she stood taller. She attended events with her head high, sometimes with Lee Min-ho right beside her, other times on her own, radiating a confidence that seemed to say, "Yes, I have a past, and I'm not ashamed of it." And as for their relationship, well, it grew in ways that even their closest friends hadn't predicted. After that night, Lee Min-ho began to include her in more of his personal world. Not just the glamorous premieres and magazine shoots, but the quieter corners of his life. He introduced her to old friends from before his fame, people who had known him when he was just a young man with dreams in his pocket. He brought her to family gatherings where the laughter was loud and the food was plenty. And she, in turn, began letting him into her private routines. The little cafe she loved visiting early in the morning, the bookshop where she could spend hours without looking at the time, the garden where she sometimes went just to think. Perhaps the most heartwarming part of this continuation, lovely viewers, is the way they've started to rewrite her old memories. Remember those places she couldn't visit after her divorce because they carried too much pain? Slowly, gently, Lee Min-ho began taking her back to them, but with him by her side. That anniversary restaurant. They went there again, this time laughing through the entire meal, creating a new layer of meaning on top of the old one. That song in the cafe. He found the track, learned the lyrics, and sang it to her one night, not as a painful reminder, but as a promise that music could be beautiful again. And it's not just about replacing old memories, it's about proving that love can exist alongside pain. That healing doesn't mean erasing the past, but learning how to live with it in a way that no longer hurts. And maybe that's the truest, most lasting gift Lee Min-ho has given Song Hye Kyo. The ability to walk through her own history without fear. Lovely viewers, can you see why this story resonates so deeply? It's not about celebrity gossip or fleeting romance. It's about the courage it takes to let someone see the parts of you that are hardest to share. And it's about the beauty of having that person not just stay, but cherish you even more because of those parts.